You know, when people wonder how I got my strength, it's because of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I love you, Mama.
I love you.
Hi, this is Dr. Brooke Goldner from Goodbye Lupus, and I'm so excited right now because I'm getting to share with you my favorite person, my mom. This is Gina, and you don't understand how special this is. She is not a fan of being in front of a camera. She said no, and then we're doing it anyway because I really want to share her with you. Some of you guys might have heard my story before of all the years that I had lupus and how I got through it. Well, the main reason that I not only survived lupus, but thrived with lupus, because of my mama. So May is Lupus Awareness Month. And so while normally I spend most of my time talking about how to reverse autoimmune diseases and become lupus free like I've been for the past 16 years, I think it's also important to talk about what lupus is and how it affects people's lives. You know, I was diagnosed with lupus at 16. And I've talked a lot about how that affected me. But you don't live with autoimmune disease alone. You experience it together with the people who love you. So I was hoping maybe you could talk about, Mom, what it was like having a child who, as I was getting sick and what I was going through, what it was like for you, what was going through your mind, what your experience was with the doctors and all of that. Some of that's a blur to me because, you know, it was 30 years ago.
Like when you first started getting sick?
Yeah.
And you were just, you know, had all these varied symptoms and one day you would have a headache, terrible headache that would make you throw up, but you had migraines, so we weren't too concerned. And then you would have joint pain. One day it would be one knee, next day it would be the other knee, and just, you know, just varied kind of things that every time we went to the doctor, they would just prescribe something for whatever it was that was bothering you at the time. Until one day you went, I guess it was like at the end of the school year, you went to the beach with all your friends and you came home with this rash on your face. And we just said, okay, something has to be wrong. So we took you to the emergency room. And the doctor then said that, I don't think I came with you. I think you only were there with your father, but at the time, said that you either had lupus or Lyme disease.
I remember that. Yeah.
And when you came home, I freaked out because no. How could she say that? She didn't take any tests. No, she's wrong. So we, I can't remember if we went to the, is it not endocrinologist? We went nephrologist.
Well, they
first,
did all the tests in the hospital. When I was in the ER.
Okay.
They took all the blood. And I remember because that was terrifying for me because I never had to have blood tests done. And they had to take all that blood and I was freaking out.
Yeah. I didn't have to run after you this time.
No, but it was tough. And then that's when they realized that there was kidney issues and they scheduled the biopsy.
Right. And then they found out that you were in stage 4 kidney failure. So we went to the nephrologist and I guess he read all the results and he says, okay, there are 2 ways we can handle this. We could either just give you prednisone, and it will relieve your symptoms, or we could try this new, it was experimental at the time, and it was chemotherapy. And at that point, the doctor said, if we don't do the chemotherapy, you could die. And it was like a bomb dropped. I think Grandma and I were both at the doctor's visit with you. And we had to do the chemo. I mean, you know, you had to live. And,
you know, I was just thinking about, Mom, is that, and I don't know why I never put it together before, Grandpa, your father, had recently died from cancer.
Yeah.
And one of the things that made him really weak and sick towards the end was the chemotherapy. And I'd never before, till this moment, just realized even hearing the word chemotherapy must have been such a trigger for you.
Yeah. Because towards the end, I mean, he died because of the chemotherapy. He just couldn't withstand it anymore. So yeah, it was a very, very difficult time. What can I say?
You know, you were amazing because whenever my mom was with me every step of the way, every chemotherapy. And I remember even chemo was uncomfortable because I was in the infusion room with all the cancer patients.
Yeah.
And they're all looking at me with a sad face, you know, and I'm looking at them. And but you used to bring pizza for everybody. We didn't know, you know, about food and all that, but you were always like the light in the room. You were a light for me and for everyone else. You never let me feel sorry for myself. You're tough. You're like, could always be worse. Get your chemo. You have a AP history test you got to study for, you know, like, I mean, it was what I needed.
But look, in that room of people that were really terminal.
Yeah.
You had more hope than any of them.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was a positive to all this negative at that point. So that's the only thing we could do is, you know, day by day, just take each day as it came. Try to find the positive of every day. And you go on. And sometimes it's hour by hour. When you were in your chemo, it's just trying to survive each hour. And so, yeah, it was...
How did you cope? Because, you know, I was a kid at the time and kids were self-absorbed. So I was just doing my chemo and my mom's telling me I got to study and do all the stuff. And I did. Now being both an adult and a mother, I don't know how you stayed so tough. Because, I mean, what were you doing to survive and to stay so positive in my face? How?
I wasn't tough. It was, you know, you kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say put on a show, but at night you fall apart. Then you do all your crying and feeling sorry, not for myself, but for you, because if I could have changed places with you, I would have done it in a heartbeat, but I couldn't. So at night I would break down and, you know, the next day you just, here we go. It's another day. We get through it and you're going to get through it. And
yeah. And you never let me doubt that for a second. Because I never did. I never doubted that I was going to get through it, that I was going to survive. I did not believe I was going to die. Like, I was just like, all right. And it was your energy, grandma. It was just like, all right, you take your medicine, you do your test, you go to school, you're going to college. Like, I didn't even know college was optional.
It wasn't.
Well, it wasn't. But I mean, like, I thought it was like middle school, high school, college. Like, I didn't know that until graduation, when I found out some people weren't going to college. I'm like, there's a choice? And you said, and I asked you and you said, no, there's not.
There's no choice.
But it was never, and I feel like that kept me going because had you coddled me and said, oh my God, it's over, maybe you should stay home, this and that, I think I would have been scared. But it was like, no, you have stuff to do. It's just now you also have to do this. You have to take your tests. You have to go to school. You have to do this. And you have to do chemo on Friday. And it just made it kind of normalized, like I could handle it.
Yeah. And you did. Better than I don't even know if I was as positive in my own head as I portrayed. But yeah, you know, deep down, I don't know if I was thinking that you were going to survive all this, you know. I just wanted, the only thing I could hope for you was to get into some sort of remission and live the best life you could possibly live with lupus. Now, but, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I mean, even when I had symptoms, like when I got off the chemo, I was considered in remission for my kidneys, but I still had kidney issues and I still had arthritis. I remember when like Vioxx was the only thing that worked for my arthritis. The only thing. Ibuprofen did nothing. And then suddenly Vioxx had an issue where they took it off the market. And I went to the rheumatologist's office and I took all the samples. Because I was in college and if I had arthritis, then I couldn't walk to class and I couldn't do, so I just took I need to function. So that was always in my mind, was like, what is my game plan so I can function?
Given the circumstances, I don't know how many people can go through it the way you did. You know, you weren't sitting and crying to me and complaining and whining and like, you know, I can't eat or I can't study. No, I mean, you worked through it. Okay, I can't study tonight, but tomorrow I'll be okay. And I don't know if it's me or if it was just your determination, you know, but whatever it was, you were never difficult. Never difficult. The situation was really difficult.
Situation was difficult. Yeah. But it's interesting. I mean, one thing I found that's easier, I think, maybe even as the patient, was I was always able to move on. And I think, you know, grandma probably taught me best about like being in the moment. You know, my grandmother, your mama, you know, she was a Holocaust survivor, but she wasn't traumatized by the war. She was someone who considered herself lucky and happy, and she would always just be in the moment. Like, even if she told stories about the war, it was a funny story somehow, or a moment of survival, or a moment of luck. It was, you know, she didn't talk about the dark parts.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of her personality.
Yeah, you have to find the light in every situation, because if you dwell on the negative, it just...
Right. And sometimes finding the light takes some work. It's a dark room and you're looking for a pen light. You're looking for something. But I was obsessed with that. And I learned that from our family, that like coming from really hard times, even if she could find a light moment in that situation in the Holocaust, then we can find light moments. Yeah. And so that was always my obsession, was, you know, if I was in bed crying because, you know, some days I wasn't always positive. Like some days the chemo, I hated the chemo. And laying in bed so nauseous and throwing up. And I hated that. But it wasn't like I wasn't going to do it. It was like, I have to do it. Let's go. But sometimes I would, you know, feel a little sorry for myself laying there. And then if I felt sorry for myself immediately, I go, you know what? I'm lucky. I feel a gram in my head. Why am I lucky? Because my family. Lucky girl. Because I my family's together. We're not being, you know, persecuted or murdered. You know, we live in a middle-class home. I have school. I have potential. I have hope. I have doctors. And I would keep going until, instead of crying, feeling sorry for myself, I was crying for feeling lucky. Yeah. And I would obsess about it. And I was lucky. Yeah. I mean, I am lucky. But you know, it's one of the things I try to teach people who are sick, is that a lot of times people lose that. They think, if I can get rid of lupus, if I can get rid of my disease, then I'll be lucky, then I'll be happy. And the truth is, you don't know what's going to happen, right? It might get better, might get worse, we don't know. But you can just decide you're lucky. You can channel my grandmother and just say, you know what? I'm going to be lucky. And if I'm lucky, I'm going to find it. I'm going to look for it.
Right. Well, each day is a win. Yeah. And that's why I say you take it day by day. And we took it day by day because I couldn't think ahead. So when you take everything day by day, it's achievable. Yeah. You know? So, and that's what we did, because otherwise it's overwhelming. I mean, I don't know if I would have been able to survive, because, you know, the worst thing is watching your child sick. Just sick is bad, but having to go through chemo and everything else that you went through is devastating, you know?
What was it like for you when when they declared my first remission? Of course, even in remission,
I didn't believe
I was sick. Oh, really? So I had my final chemo and they said, okay, you can stop the chemo. You're in remission. I still had arthritis and all the problems, but I wasn't currently dying anymore.
Right.
You didn't believe it?
No, I didn't know that. I was afraid. I was afraid to take you off of the chemo because now you were okay. You know, so I didn't believe the not the nephrologist, it was the
rheumatologist,
where he said, I don't remember who said what, but anyway, when they said that you didn't need to take it anymore, I needed another opinion. So that's when we went to the NIH. We went to NIH just to see what they thought. We brought all your records, and they said, yeah, you can go off.
When we tried the first time, it was supposed to be 1 year of chemo. And they told me 1 year of chemo, and I was like, okay. And then after a year,
you weren't ready.
He said, you're not done. We need another year. And I said, I don't like this idea. And so we went to NIH, and I sat in that boardroom of doctors, and they said, no, you need another year. And I was like, But if they said so, okay. But what was it? Because a week after my last chemo, I went to college, and I left. Mm-hmm. So what was that like for you? I mean, I was at college having fun, but you went from keeping me alive for 2 years to me being gone. What was that like?
I can't even remember, Brooke. I know it was, you get so used to taking care of someone that you actually miss taking care of that person, which may sound a little sick. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, I missed you. And for some reason that too, because now everything was out of my control, You
had to hope I took my medicine. I did.
Yeah.
I took my medicine. So, I went through a lot. I got sick again in medical school. I had the blood clots. And I didn't even say, I remember I was having the double vision, and I had, I knew something was wrong. I came home, I got all the MRIs done, but I had a cruise planned with Grandma. Mm-hmm. So Grandma and I used to always go on cruises whenever I could have time off. And I didn't have the results of the MRI yet, but I went on the cruise, and I didn't say anything to Grandma because I'm like, I just want to enjoy the cruise.
Right.
So I just enjoyed the cruise, had fun, and then came home and found out you have you're having mini strokes and you need to get on blood thinners right away. But I was in the moment. I just wanted to be in the moment. But if we fast forward to, after I meet Tom and, I radically changed my diet. Mm-hmm. At first, just because I thought I was going to look better. But then all my symptoms went away and everything. And do you remember when that was happening? And did you have any thoughts about it? Or was it just kind of...
No, I don't know if you shared with me how because as far as what you told me, you were doing better.
Yeah.
So you weren't going to burden me if you were feeling bad a day or, so, but.
Do you remember when I got off my medicines, when I got off the blood thinners?
I do. And I was afraid of that too.
I have just worn you out, just constant fear.
Well, when something is working, you're afraid of changing it. And, I was afraid that you will have mini strokes again. And this time, your brain is what you have.
I know. It's not like I was ever going to be an athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. And when when they finally said that there's no trace of it, mm-hmm. markers weren't there anymore. Again, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And when you said you wanted to have a baby, no.
Well, no. When I said I wanted to have a baby, it was after 4 years of normal labs.
Okay.
I was off all my meds for 3 years. And what did you say?
No, you can't.
And what was your response to that?
I offered to carry them for you.
She wanted to be my surrogate.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Which was so sweet. And my best friend Stephanie volunteered to be my surrogate. I'm very lucky to be so loved.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think, I would have been healthy for years. I was strong and fit. My blood tests were negative. It's the only reason.
But where have you ever heard of that happening? When the doctor tells you that you're never going to have children because you may have a stroke or you don't know what's going to happen to you next, because we've heard stories of women that were pregnant and all of a sudden would have aneurysms or
strokes
hearts
and kidney failure.
Yeah. So no, I didn't want to go through. No.
I'm now realizing the extraordinary amount of stress I put on you my whole life.
It's a good thing.
I'm always pushing the envelope, like, I'm better now. Let me
Always.
Well, you taught me to go after my dreams and go after what I want.
I don't think I was as brave as you are. but yes.
But I had the healthy pregnancy. And when Solomon, did you ever get relief? Like when Solomon was born and I was okay? Or were you always like, when's the other shoe going to fall? Like,
it's always when it was until, I don't know, maybe the last 10 years that, I don't worry about it anymore.
So the fight or flight is finally calm down.
It's calm. Now I know that whatever you're doing works and you're healthy. And so I don't worry about that anymore. No.
Finally.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. But that's a long time to think about that. I mean, I've been healthy 16 years. And it's only been maybe the past 10 where you're not worrying anymore. Mm-hmm. Oh, I have worn you down. I'm sorry, Mama.
No. It's all worth it.
Yeah. And it's one of the reasons that whenever, like every day, I tell you about people who are better, right?
Yeah.
And we both cry because it makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Every life, every child, every person, right?
You feel it. It's not just hearing a story, you feel it because you know exactly what they're going through, the child, the mother. So yeah, we cry.
Yeah.
We celebrate also their victories, so yeah, I'm so happy when that happened,
And I got to bring this up too, is after I finally got my first remissions was when you decided it was safe to get sick, right? You're like, okay, she's good. So all the stress and not having the self-care, not having your own support the way you needed to, it all built up. And it was like Hashimoto's, menopause, depression,
my body,
arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, like
it was a crash.
You just fell apart. You're like, your eye was inflamed, your joints are inflamed. I mean, it was like everything. And before me, no autoimmune in the family. Where could it come from? And then just, but how long have you been hyper-nourishing now? And
I have been hyper-nourishing, I have to say, about 12 years.
And how's all the arthritis and everything?
It's gone, actually. I'm not in pain. I'm not in pain anymore. So, to wake up and not be in pain, is wonderful. So I feel normal. I didn't know what normal was. I mean, really, if someone, how do you feel? I don't know. What's normal?
Yeah.
Now I know what normal is waking up, you're not in pain.
I like that too.
You're clear-minded, it's good. So yes, I've been doing it about 12 years.
So
on and off.
Yes.
But whenever I went off, that's when my knees started to hurt. Yes. And so
and what would I say? How can I be known for eliminating disease and my mom's limping around a swollen knee? But you know what? You can't force people.
It was my fault.
But you can't force people.
No.
And they have to do it when they're ready. And I had to stop harassing you because I was harassing. She was limping. I was harassed. And she would go, oh, my leg. And I go, okay, this is what you need to do. You got to get the smoothies. You got to get the, and she'd go, I don't want to hear it. So we stopped and you just did it on your own when you were ready.
Yeah.
And you called me and said, by the way, I've been doing your plan. I'm doing my smoothies. I lost 20 pounds and my arthritis is gone. And I was like, yeah.
I think that happened is when I was visiting you and I was listening to you and I don't know. And I was saying, okay, she's healing this person, this. I'm stupid because here I have all this information and I'm not using it. So I came home and that was it. And since then, yeah.
Because I don't get to be healthy and then you're going to be hobbling around. We're not going to switch turns. You got to.
Doesn't look good for you if I'm sick.
Well, no, that's not even a thing. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. You've got to, and you look great. But can I tell them how old you are?
Sure.
She just celebrated her birthday. How old?
68.
68.
68. I can't believe I said that.
Yeah. And you look good, Mom. You're looking good. But, more important than looking good is feeling good.
Yeah.
I talked to 2 people in their 60s today who are both a mess. They've got all the things you started with. Everything hurts. And it's like every system has a problem. There's there's the allergies and the headaches and the thyroid and then there's lung issues and then there's kidney. I mean, it's like the whole body's breaking down, right?
Yeah.
But that's just malnourishment and you can bring it back.
Yeah.
So I also love that anything we go through, we share the pain together, but then we share the healing together too.
Yeah.
And now that I have children, having her around is more important than ever. I'm trying to convince her not to leave. She's supposed to fly out tomorrow, but I haven't accepted it yet. Because my kids benefit from you.
Oh.
I mean, my husband is upset she's leaving. How often does someone say that about their mother-in-law? He's like, what are we going to do without her? I get up in the morning, I go to the office. She brings the smoothies to us. I mean, and then you help my Alex with math. I mean, you're amazing.
Stop.
You're amazing. But, you know, you really are my hero.
Aw.
You are. And I'm grateful to you. And I love you.
You're
and
mine.
I appreciate that you're willing to overcome your shyness to allow people to see you, because I want everyone to know.
You don't know how I'm sweating about this.
But I want people to know, you know, when people wonder how I got my strength, it's because of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I love you, Mama.
I love you.
I think that's as much as we could do.
Oh, yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know about my nutrition protocol, I didn't talk about the healing program, but I have free classes. I teach it as a public service. So right now, if you go to goodbyelupus.com, you can learn my whole protocol for free, and you can hear my whole story plus more details about how I actually recovered. All the information's there for free. I'll be doing Q&As live on Instagram and Facebook soon. I do them regularly as a public service. Maybe one day we can get you to do Q&As. No, not going to happen. But I always share that information. So it is Lupus Awareness Month, and I want people to be aware not only of the disease, but that there is hope, that there's healing, and you have more power than you ever thought to actually live the best life that you never believed was possible. So I just hope you take action on doing that. Talk to the people you love and support each other. Eat for yourselves, and make sure you never give up on your dreams. This is Dr. G. Goodbye, Lupus. Thanks for spending this time with us today and for spending the time to get to know my mom. I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.